intro again here.
Yeah.
So this tier list that we're going to do is only 6, and these are the Marvel replacement characters. These are main Avengers that have been replaced by other heroes, and let's go ahead and rank them. I don't think this list is going to do quite as well.
Nope.
Ironheart.
Okay.
So I actually had to watch Wakanda Forever to do this video because I didn't want to see it. And it was better than I thought it was going to be, but I went in with like it being a 0 out of 10. So, take that with what it is. Anyway, have you
Yeah.
actually watched Wakanda Forever?
I've seen bits and pieces, but when that came out, when did that come out?
2020, right around.
Yeah,
Could look it up.
2022. Yeah, I was a little busy in 2022. I didn't really have a lot of stuff. I didn't really have a lot of movie watching potential in 2022. But
So,
from what
yeah.
I've seen of her character, I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
kind of sad. And that's mainly because she just wasn't established.
Well, yeah, so let's go. So Riri Williams is Ironheart, and basically she gets introduced in the film because she builds a detector for vibranium. She's a super genius. She helps everyone with their homework, but doesn't really get credit. They show up. The Wakandans show up because Namor is after her because they're another society with vibranium, and so they show up to go and capture Ironheart. And she just is building an Iron Man suit. She has an arc reactor. She has no connection to Tony Stark at all. And they even try to do similar scenes with her. Like she flies super high up to hit a military drone and passes out from oxygen loss instead of dealing with the freezing issue from the first Iron Man movie.
Now, let me ask you that, since you said that. Does that come back at some point? As in, is that an actually important scene? Or did they just do it for nostalgia? Okay, well then that's bad.
They just did it for nostalgia. Yeah.
Okay, the whole reason they did the ice scene is to set up the end. It's Chekhov's gun. Here,
right.
it didn't need that scene. It was not important.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, she also makes some really racially charged statements that I don't like, but we're not going to get into that here. But she looks like a bad Power Ranger villain.
So here's my major problem with this character, and I have seen enough bits and pieces of this character, people's opinions on this character, and everything else, to say one simple thing. She has absolutely no necessity of being connected to Iron Man at all, and is breaking several trademark laws in universe.
Right.
I would say, look, if you're so smart, do it on your own merit.
Make your own style
thing.
of suit.
And again, this comes down to not how the character herself acted. It's how she's written. They didn't want a new character to come up with something. And again, the whole reason of why she was made in the comics is to have a new Iron Man, which is not real. Look, Marvel's main problem with these passing the torch characters is that they try and hit upon these are the new versions of an old character. But the problem with that is you don't really need a new version of the old character because it doesn't hit the same. Make a cool version of a new character. And they unfortunately just kind of didn't do that with Ironheart. They could have had her do literally anything. And
to be honest with you, there are 2 characters that I would replace her with. In the third Iron Man film, they have a kid who's picked on, who's really smart, who helps Tony out. And Tony goes back and gives him a full workshop to work with. If that kid showed up in an Iron Man suit 5+ years later, I'd believe it because he met Iron Man.
That's kind of a cool Chekhov's gun to set off. That's neat. Okay, cool. We have some establishment.
Right. The other thing is how they do Spider-Man. So I know earlier in the video we talked about this, but if you're catching this video alone as opposed to the whole show, the Spider-Man, he's introduced, but Iron Man helps him out and gives him a suit. Then he has to take the suit away and prove that he can do it on his own. Then Spider-Man 2, Iron Man's died, and he's got this set of drone technology left behind by Iron Man. He struggles with how he can live up to the mantle. The third movie, he's all on his own. If you said, hey, we're going to make a Robin movie, a trilogy, I would say that's exactly how you do it.
No,
It's
I can
just the
agree.
problem is it's Spider-Man. So
Well,
I
even then, like in universe, most people see this Spider-Man as Tony Stark's kind of adopted
replacement.
son or like replacement. Yeah, like this is his sidekick. This is who he groomed for the role. Well, that's a poor choice of words, but you know what I mean. Like this is who he set up to be the next Iron Man equivalent. And again, not Iron Man, Iron Man
Right.
equivalent. So
So I'm going to put
honestly,
this
I
in
would put
D.
her in. Yeah, she doesn't actually do it very much either,
Yeah.
from what I recall.
No, just like fights. I mean, and is a plot device to get the conflict to happen.
That's really
Um,
unfortunate too. They didn't even let her show off. That's kind of
the
dumb. But
the new Black Panther. So this one, so what they do with this character is T'Challa has passed, and she tried to save him and couldn't. Goes into kind of a depression, has to come out of it, and learn to be a leader like her brother, with his death hanging over the whole film, and then the death of her mother making her move from princess to queen. Spoiler alert. So, for any of the people that go want to not get spoiled for a movie that's over 2 years old, the this character to me could have been set up well. My problems with it, in the universe of Black Panther, they've established with the film, they take the Panther's powers away and have them fight for the crown. This character would lose those fights in straight hand to hand combat. And in fact, it's kind of hinted that she, as the Black Panther, at the end of the film, is going to be separate from the ruler. It kind of hints that the Jabari guy is going to take over as king of Wakanda. Um,
which
so
is interesting, honestly. And I have seen this bit actually because I
yeah,
did some research on this character. I like what they did. I like that they said, "Look," and this doesn't actually happen a whole lot, from my knowledge. As far like I know you could probably give some examples, but in these Marvel films specifically, Zuri coming up and being, "Oh, I I'm coming out of a loss. Someone has to take this because it was so sudden. I have to do this."
it makes sense in
Yes,
context.
because it's like I'm clinging to the remnants of my dead brother. Oh
Right.
boy, that's a great motivation. Holy crap. Like
So
I 100% I thoroughly enjoy
yeah.
how she was written.
Yeah, and I think so I would put it in B. However, this is I would go one higher to A, and this is why. Chadwick Boseman unfortunately passed and they had to put this together. And I think in the situation they had, this was the best they could have done.
Yes.
Um
And
so
on
I would
top of that, I would actually say she's probably smarter than the original
yeah.
Black Panther. She was the gadget girl. She was the girl in the chair before he passed in film and in reality. Rest in peace. But I think she has a lot of potential to be a very strong Black Panther when she can use her own gear, make her own gear, and modernize herself. Like,
So
yeah.
Captain America slash, and I know they didn't mean this, but you could call this character Captain Falcon, um, which is just great.
Falcon! But
Right.
like,
Um, I think I hate this. I'm gonna be honest. I just
I don't think many
Falcon.
people did.
Yeah, Falcon has his own stuff. He has his
Fa-
own title. He's his own hero. I think saying, and I don't want to get too political with this, but Bucky made more sense for this role. He's the Winter Soldier. He has to move past that. Oh, that guy doesn't want this title. But stripping Falcon of his title, making him the new Captain America, he's not a super soldier, so it's not even like the same power set. I
No,
think it's
he's Falcon. He
terrible.
could go so far on the name of Falcon that he built up himself. Why was he given a torch that he didn't need? And that's kind of my major frustration with this Captain America is that, well, he's not Captain America because he's not Captain America. That's okay that he's not Captain America. He's Falcon. I like the character of Falcon. Go. You've got it. You don't have to do anything else. Just have him improve as a character as Falcon. I don't
Yeah.
understand why they. No, I do understand why, but at the same time, they dropped the ball as far as where this
You
legacy
had a
went.
character to me that was perfectly set up. I think Sebastian
Yes,
Stan.
and even then, you did not need to have a new Captain America. Captain America was made in the 40s to fight in World War II.
I mean, think about how cool it would be too if on it, because his metal arm has a red star on it. If he repainted that as an American star, it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
and he was
Cool.
like, I'm the Winter Soldier no more. I've moved past my trauma and healed, and I'm gonna take on this mantle. It's like, man, what
Actually,
a great
question: what
movie.
does he do past that?
Hangs out with the guy who takes over the moniker of Captain America in a bunch of movies and tries to like
So he's
heal
there anyway,
psychologically.
but he's still the sidekick.
I mean, the thing is called Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
But
Like, it's just so strange to me that they're like they would pair up these two characters where one was so much better to take over the mantle than the other. And it's like the other thing too is I think it cheapens Falcon
it
as a
undercuts him
hero. It
so severely, and that's
right.
so sad. Dude had his own thing. Dude had his own moniker, his own
And
logo.
Anthony Mackie's great. It's just I'm
No,
gonna
he's
say
a great
D.
actor. I don't like how they did that. They did him so dirty.
Okay, She Thor or Thor.
It's sure. No,
Jane Foster. I this is from the comics. I think the comics probably handle it a lot better. This to me just came out of nowhere. Natalie Portman hasn't even really been a character in the films for any of the Avengers movies or any of that. I think to me,
wait, did they actually have her?
yeah, she's in
In
Thor: Love and Thunder,
I didn't see
and
it.
it's it,
Uh,
it was really bad. I mean, so
well,
the story is that she has cancer. And so Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, has gone to protect her because he willed it to protect her. And so it gives her the powers of Thor, which somehow also accelerate her cancer and give her strength. So she's basically either bedridden and weak or has superpowers. Um, it's
methinks
really,
that's a very dumb contrivance,
it's really stupid.
considering the hammer was sent to protect her, and it made
Yeah,
it worse. That's kind of okay. That's a really
it's
odd
stupid.
choice.
Yeah,
Uh,
D tier. It's
well,
just
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was handled way better in the comics. Then again, maybe not. I don't know. I
yeah.
haven't read her story. I
Um,
that's one of the sad things is some of these newer characters have the potential to be really good characters, but they're not given it. Like they're not given enough breath to do it. And even then, Jane Foster. Look, I was introduced to the character via the film, via Thor. Okay, cool, fine. However, she was done in the comics, I don't know. I didn't know the character was a character before Thor. And then when
right.
someone said, "Oh, she was actually female Thor in the comics," I'm like, wait, really? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. How was it? Eh. It's
See,
like
what's
okay,
so weird to me too is that Thor canonically, like in the not in the comics, I don't believe, but in Norse mythology, has sons. So
yes.
if you were gonna make another hero that's a sidekick or replacement for Thor, I would look at any of his kids.
Well,
Um,
even then, if you
it,
really look, you have a lot of Norse or Norse-ish characters, fine, sure, lovely. And even having her as the She-Thor is fine, if not for the fact that they spent a whole film saying the power was not in the hammer, it's in the person.
Yeah, and
That
the
having
problem that I
someone
have
take the
with it.
mantle is undercutting it so severely.
So the problem that I have with it too is that in the first Thor movie, when he uses the hammer, it generates the suit because he was like a normal guy and then he becomes a god. Then when Captain America uses it, it doesn't. And when Thor's holding it like an umbrella, when it's hidden as Mjolnir, it doesn't. But then it does for like I don't know, it's just inconsistently.
It's just that's some inconsistency, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest here. I put the new Hawkeye on the list. I have
Kate
seen
Bishop?
yeah, I have seen one episode of this and did not watch anything else.
Well, okay. Here's what I'll say about this character. She is the quintessential plucky young. She reminds me a lot of not Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, kind of.
Yeah,
And I could be wrong, but like she's
because
the
she has
plucky
the
sidekick.
archery abilities before running into him.
Yeah, and she's actually a pretty good foil. But again, she's not Hawkeye. She's just a different person. Like I really dislike the. Well, I'm just going to take this character's name, and then it's not your name. It's that character's name.
Right.
Do it on your own thing, and that's why most people say she's Kate Bishop, because I don't even think they call her Hawkeye or.
So
like
where would you
young
put
Hawkeye
this
or
one
whatever.
then?
Okay, so I would put her, and now we're ranking this on not on power level, but on writing level.
Right.
Perception. So I would put her in C, honestly, because she's a very heavily used trope. Like, I could name you like 4 or 5. Yeah, she's the younger version of this character. He's the old guy. So the old mentor who's just kind of done with everything, and she's the one who causes him trouble because she's trying to be the up and coming plucky, the mentor and apprentice.
Yeah.
Kind of trope, and like it works. It's fine. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay, so then I watched She-Hulk. Did you watch She-Hulk?
Nope, avoided that like the plague.
It was terrible. If there was an F- tier, I would put it there.
On top of the really, really bad CGI, and I'm prefacing that because that does not affect your rank. She was 100% a way more interesting character in the comics and the cartoons, in literally every other media property they put her in. And
so here's my problem with She-Hulk. This is my problem with She-Hulk. Is in the first episode, so you can see a well-written show in the garbage show. So
yeah, and that's with most of these characters.
Right. In the show, she becomes a Hulk. She can instantly control her powers because she said she's been catcalled as a lady. And I'm like, okay, Bruce Banner, I'm just, that's so sexist. It's
that's
painful.
Serious?
Yeah, she said because she's an average woman in the city, she has had to learn to control her anger because of how misogynist men are. That's like literally her in the show. And so she learns to control the Hulk.
Ridiculous. You do know that in the comics she can't turn it off, right?
No, but
it's
in this
permanent.
Show,
she's permanently green and big. Look, that's how she is permanently. Her whole plot line is that she's looking for a cure because she got a blood transfusion because
yeah, so in the comics, he gives her a blood transfusion to save her life. In this,
I could be wrong unless it might not be permanent, but in every depiction I've seen, it is.
I've never seen her transform back in any comic image, but when I'm looking at She-Hulk in the comics, I know this much, that Bruce Banner gives her a blood transfusion to save her life, and she becomes Hulk from that. She becomes a Hulk. In this one, they get into a car wreck, and she actually is kind of saving him, and some of his blood gets in her cut, and she becomes the Hulk. So they're like, Bruce Banner, not a hero. Then Bruce Banner's like, yeah, it took me years of meditation and all kinds of stuff to control the Hulk. And she's like, well, I'm a woman and you man, and so I can control it after two transformations. And then she's kind of better at it than him in a lot of ways, and it's just very like it's
Okay.
very rough on Bruce Banner as a character.
It's awful. The
Yeah, it's
the
really
very
sexist.
first Marvel film they did within this whole thing, yes, the actor changed, but it was Hulk. They started with Hulk.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, well, we're actually going to do a big, MCU thing with Iron Man. But the Hulk was the very first one. They had, Captain America, but the Hulk was the first one. Undercutting his whole character and the kind of, I'm a monster. This isn't some thing that this isn't some baseline. I have to control my anger. I am a monster. I have to control myself or I kill people.
Right.
This isn't some kind of baseline, oh, I should just be better. The problem I have with this She-Hulk, and again, I haven't interacted with this character very much, and I'm kind of glad I haven't.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's very bad.
But the kind of problem I'm having, a lot of depictions in She-Hulk are, wow, I am now forever cursed with this, and like it's Banner helping her out and going, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, like I had to save your life, but now I've
Yeah.
cursed you with this, and I'm gonna have to help you as much as I possibly can, but I don't know how to fix this. Like, this is
Yeah.
not how it's supposed to go. And like, so now she has this, and she learns to grow into it, and she becomes this very confident person, or maybe she started confident. I don't know. But like, the point being is that she kind of grows into the role of she. This is not She Hulk was never the Hulk's successor. She's just another person connected to Hulk, and
Right.
that's a lot of problems I see with some of these characters. The only reason Zuri was going from the top of the list to the bottom, the only reason Zuri was a, up and coming take the mantle is because the mantle's empty.
And the mantle
Okay.
is a thing
And the
canonically.
mantle is an important, yeah, it's important.
Right.
Like, it's necessary. Kate Bishop, she really doesn't even have to take Hawkeye's name. She can just be a person and she'd be pretty effective.
Right. So when I'm looking at the She-Hulk show and then she's like, "Well, I'm a career woman and I want to go work my career." And I'm like, "Okay,
Doesn't she
let's
get like laid off or something in the first
yeah, she
episode?
gets laid off because she becomes a Hulk and it's not fair." And it's a lot of like tee hee modern women, this is like a comedy thing. That being said, let's say you wrote it this way. She's dying. Hulk gives her a blood transfusion to save her life. Oh, okay, cool. Hulk's in some way passing the mantle by being a hero. It makes Hulk look good. She has trouble controlling it, and so over the next 6 months, Hulk teaches her to control that. However, during this time, she's caused a lot of problems, and as a lawyer, has had to learn how to fix them and navigate the laws as a superhero. She then sees a case on television of a superhero being wrongfully convicted for something. And so, as a hero, she finds out that maybe it's not her strength, but her ability as a lawyer and her identity as a superhero that can help her help these people.
You just
That's a
described the comics.
right.
That's how the
That's a
comics
much
go.
right.
That's
And I'm just making that up off the top of my head, but that's so much stronger than I'm a career woman, Z snap, you suck, leave. Like that's just
her whole pull was I am a lawyer first, hero second. I can help you with the law because I'm an intelligent person. I have a degree. Like, this is not my frustration with She-Hulk in the Marvel universe, in the MCU specifically, is that they had every opportunity to make her a really interesting and good character. How often do you see, other than like, I don't know, Harvey Birdman? Like,
yeah, no, you could write a lawyer drama that's funny and like entertain
or
and I
even
think the
just a mystery. Like, how
right.
do you handle crazy crime number 54? Uh okay, well, we have to figure out what power did this person have to be able to commit this crime in the first place? What do you charge them with?
Yeah, and I think trying to make it like a modern drama comedy about being a career woman is,
It should never have been about comedy.
yeah. And I mean, if you wanted to make it funny, but have it give the character some heart so that we go, oh, okay, this is why she's doing what she's doing and she cares about it, as opposed to,
Twerking.
I- right. Um,
That is one of the few clips I've seen of this show, twerking.
yeah, it's
And
just
that's
it's
that
very
just I didn't you, when did this come out anyway? Because wasn't
yeah.
twerking like a 2018
I don't know. Miley Cyrus did it way back in the
thing?
day.
Let's see. It came out 2022.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's quite. I feel like that's really dated.
yeah,
And I don't know. I guess the thing, and like kind of looking at all of them together, all of them have good bones. All of them. Not a single one of them was a bad character from the baseline.
right.
Like all of them could have been much more. All of them could have stood on their own 2 feet. All of them could have been really good shows. But unfortunately, the writers said no. And that's how a lot of these characters go.
Well, and you wonder how much notes are in there. And this is not to get anything crazy, but I mean, if I'm looking at this list, Sebastian Stan might have been passed up because he's got the wrong skin color and is the wrong gender. I mean, that's just, and that's not me trying to say anything. It's just, did they pick the best characters or did they try to just shoehorn in comic
Maybe they
characters?
did. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. It's frustrating to look at what could have been
Because we
and
don't
go
know.
like, yeah, and then look at, well, why is it this way? And then have it be a controversy of why that character was picked and not being able to criticize it or being able to look at it and go, well, could this have gone better? Yeah, it might be fine as it is, but it could have been better. For example, I would love an Ironheart series as where she's not Ironheart. Just look, if she comes up and goes, look, okay, I'll give you a really good example. One of my favorite childhood shows, DC show, Static Shock. The dude,
Yes.
look, the dude came up and was like, all right, I'm going to be a hero. His whole, look, he had his whole show behind him. And I just, looking at that character and specifically his kind of sidekick character, Gear. Now, Gear doesn't do a whole lot in that show, but he's the gadget guy and he does eventually go out and do stuff. Like, he's cool. He does his thing. He doesn't try and take another hero's mantle. He doesn't try and take another hero's shtick. He does his own thing and he's pretty successful. Both of them are really successful doing their own thing.
Right.
And that's kind of why I'm a little frustrated with some of these characters, is because some of these characters would have been better off just being given a solo series and saying, all right, what do you want to do? What do you as a character want?
Right.
Because again, Ironheart turned a lot of people off because it undercut Tony Stark. What would have happened if she'd have just picked a different name, not been connected to Tony Stark at all, or any of his technology? Like, I'm making my own thing, or even I can make better
Because
technology.
what's so strange too is that the Wakandans, when they see the suit, which doesn't even really look like an Iron Man suit, it just has an arc reactor. They go, "Oh, she's got an Iron Man suit," and that's what they say. And it's like, I don't think canonically in universe they would say that. They're not
No,
part of the American culture or zeitgeist. They've probably run into Iron Man all of 4 times. Um,
and even
yeah,
then, he's a white dude. Why would they care?
right. Well,
Like,
he's
even
an American.
they consider their technology stronger and better.
Yeah, she's got a mechanical suit, but they want to make the connection. They want it
Yeah,
to
no, and
be,
it's very
this is
forced.
Iron
It's
Man.
contrived, and that's kind of why I look at all these characters and I go, it's sad of what they could have been if not for the writers.
Right.
Because I can assure you, Falcon probably is doing wonderful in the comics. I think. Feel free to contradict me.
Well, Falcon's been great in some TV shows too. In
Oh
the
yeah.
Avengers, he's great. Like there's
Oh
an
yeah.
Avengers animated shows with Falcon in it, and he's like kind of a tech guy that's actually kind of closer to Tony Stark than he is to Captain America.
And that works. Like
Yeah,
different
he's a
depictions of
military
characters.
tech guy who invented his own wings. It's like, oh, huh, he's
That's
not
cool.
Iron Man, he's not Captain America, he's his
He's
own
his
dude.
own thing. And like that's I'll give you one last point before we end off.
Yeah.
All of these characters are meant to be connected to another character in almost contrived ways. Some of them are fine. I'd say Shuri has the absolute best reason for picking up the mantle. But for all of them, it was not that the character existed because they needed to exist or wanted to exist. It is these characters existed because, well, the old heroes are getting old, and the actors aren't gonna stick around, and we need some new blood, and well, it didn't go so well.
Right.
And that's why they're doing the whole multiverse thing, because I think Wakanda Forever was earlier. Now they're in the whole Celestials and Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four. And yeah, like they didn't do Fantastic Four. They've never done a good Fantastic Four film, which is very strange to me because the story's very, very simple. I don't know why they could never do it. But
we will sit
like,
down and have a conversation because I have a Fantastic Four story that I've written that I think would actually be pretty good. But no, go ahead, continue because we'll
so
wrap up
the
here pretty
base,
soon.
yeah, why these characters aren't focused on anymore in a weird way is because they didn't do well. They didn't do well. They didn't have the same kind of gravitas as the old characters. And that's why they're just not talked about very much anymore. Like Falcon, I'm pretty sure is still around, but like I don't know what he did past the Winter Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Did he
I
do
mean,
anything?
other than just the movie or the TV show that he was in, where he tells a senator to do better, and
That
they
speech has
uncover
been memed to Hill.
some. Well, like the premise of the show is that there are people that were in the blip, people lost their property and then came back to their property, but people had squatters' rights, and so there's kind of this, vague talk of government overreach, vague talk of, who really owns the property, and so there's combat between them and a group called the Flag Smashers, which are like these people that believe that, the blip, uh, they want to go back to the way things were beforehand, yada yada yada. But anyway, I think that's a pretty good summary of this stuff. We were going to get into a little bit of Miles Morales, but I think that will fall in a later video.
Yeah,
So
because
my name's
Miles is going to take a whole video because he did a good job. And the
right.
writers did too.
So my name's John,
And I'm Fisher.
and thank you for being on with us today. Have a good one.